Did you know that over 70% of Americans are unprepared for emergencies? Many people struggle with food storage, organization, and ensuring they have the right supplies during emergencies. And especially when you're new to this, the idea of stockpiling food seems pretty simple, but the truth is, even the most seasoned preppers have learned tons of tips and tricks over the years that really help them out. And I want to help you today save time, money, and potential heartache down the road due to lack of experience. And I have 25 hacks that are going to do that. When I first started prepping, I wish I had somebody to teach me these things, and I had to learn the hard way when 2020 came around. So the very first tip is going to be store what you eat. Focus on foods that you and your family actually enjoy so nothing goes to waste. We made that mistake when 2020 came around. At that time, I had a Winco nearby and I would shop there, and we just would have shopping carts, myself and my husband, and we'd go through the store and we were just loading food into there. A lot of things we did like to eat, and there were a lot of things that we don't eat at all. And those items stayed on our shelves for many years, and it just wasn't a good thing because we weren't that likely to rotate through those foods. So a lot of things we ended up giving away just so that somebody else could benefit from it. Next, use Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This will help you extend the shelf life of your dry goods like rice and beans and pasta. You need to use Mylar bags. You need to get oxygen absorbers. I like to order all of mine off of Amazon because usually in Amazon I can find large quantities, and I can't find that in my local Walmart. So Amazon is my go-to, and I'll put a link down below to show you exactly what I get. Next is going to be rotating your stock. So you want to implement a first in, first out strategy. This is going to ensure that your older items are used first and then nothing expires. And here's another extra tip. Even when things say that they expire, like 90% of the time, it's still fine for way longer. We eat expired foods in this household like all the time. Next, you want to vacuum seal your dry goods. So this will be for items like your grains, your nuts, your seeds. Vacuum sealing these will significantly extend their shelf life. And I've seen a lot of vacuum sealers at Walmart. So if you don't have one in your local Walmart, definitely check Amazon. Next is going to be labeling everything. It takes a few extra minutes to do that, but it's so well worth it. I recommend writing the expiration dates on containers so that you know when things need to be rotated. Next is going to be keeping a pantry inventory, and I still need to do a better job at that. I've been wanting to do a better job at that for a while, but that's still somewhere where I need to grow. Basically, what you want to do is track what you have on hand. That way you can avoid overbuying and ensuring that your stockpile stays organized. So getting any kind of notebook and keeping track of exactly what you have, that's going to be helpful. Again, it could be a little bit tedious, but maybe you could sit down once a week, go through the items that maybe you added to your pantry, write that down, and then you'll be able to go ahead and keep track there. Next, store your food in cool, dark places. Heat and light actually degrade your food a lot faster. So store your stockpile in a cool, dry, and dark location. We use an extra room here in our house as our walk-in pantry, so you can close the curtains, you can close the door, turn off the light. It's temperature controlled because it's within our house, and it's dark, and we're in a dry climate, so we don't really have to worry about excess moisture in the room. So that's an ideal climate and place for our food storage. So make sure you identify somewhere in your home that's going to be ideal for your storage. The next hack is going to be freezing your flour before storing it. The idea is to freeze the flour for at least a few days because it will kill any pests that may be in there. And then after that, that's when you can transfer it to an airtight container. Okay, the next one, when you can, is going to be buying in bulk. And I know that costs a little bit, but I love to go to Costco and Sam's Club for buying in bulk, and you can really get some excellent ideas. I have a lot of videos on that you can check out that show you exactly how much you can get while not exactly breaking the bank as well. And when it comes to buying in bulk, think about purchasing staple items like rice, beans, pasta, oats. You want to purchase these in bulk because you're going to save money and you're going to build your stockpile a lot faster. Next tip is going to be learning how to can your own fruits and vegetables. Learning how to can these items at home to preserve your garden produce or preserve the items that you purchase at a grocery store. It's going to help you out because you don't have to worry about consuming all of this food right now when you don't want to consume it all right now, but you want to store it up on your shelves. That way you can have it later in case hard times do come, in case the store doesn't have it anymore. You never know what life is going to throw at you. Next, we'll be learning how to dry your own herbs. You can preserve your fresh herbs quickly by using a dehydrator, or you can simply just dry them out naturally and then store them in an airtight jar afterwards. Next, we'll also be dehydrating fruits and vegetables. So for this, I recommend using a dehydrator to make it go a little bit quicker. And this will help you preserve, again, those fruits and vegetables. And it's going to be a lightweight storage. It's not going to be something that's really heavy, and you'll be able to keep it long term. Next, we'll be storing honey and maple syrup. Honey and maple syrup are great because they last practically forever. They're considered forever foods if stored properly and unopened. And they have so many health benefits as well. Next, we'll be opting for freeze-dried foods. Freeze-dried fruits, vegetables, meats, all of these maintain their nutrients and they last for years. Now, freeze dryers are expensive. I do not have one yet. Maybe one day I will, but they are a great way to preserve foods. So even if you don't have a freeze dryer, but maybe you know someone that does, then maybe you can go ahead and freeze dry some of your items there and test it out to see if it'll be worth the investment for you. But I hear 9 times out of 10 from people that they absolutely love their freeze dryer. Next, we'll be using food grade buckets for grains. So you want to store your bulk grains and other dry goods in food grade buckets with airtight lids. Very, very important. Make sure that the plastic that you're using for your food storage is safe for long-term purposes. Another important one is having enough salt for preservation. You want to have a lot of salt for preserving meats if you ever need to, and as an essential food seasoning. You can grab a ton of salt at Costco for $5. I mean, like a 20-pound bag worth. So there's no excuses for not having a lot of salt. Next, we'll be stocking up on your shelf-stable proteins. So canned meats, dried beans, and nut butters are excellent protein sources that last for a long time on the shelf. The ideal protein is going to be canned meats, of course, because that's essentially all protein and maybe a little bit of fat in there. But don't forget that you can have some protein in beans and nuts as well. But for me and in our home, our main source of protein is always going to be just like a canned chicken, canned fish, canned beef, anything like that. Next is going to be storing powdered milk and eggs. So if you stock powdered versions of perishable items like milk and eggs for baking and cooking, you're gonna see that it will come in handy when you really need it. And we have some freeze-dried eggs, and we do have powdered milk as well, and we just have it for a rainy day for when maybe we need those items and we don't have it fresh and then we have it to use. So definitely get those. Next, stockpile spices. Keep a variety of spices and seasonings. That way you can add flavor to basic meals, and it'll help you prevent food fatigue, because you can get really tired of eating beans and rice when it's so bland and you just maybe have the only one type of seasoning that you're using all the time because it was a favorite seasoning, and then after having it like 30 times, it's no longer a favorite at the moment. So having a wide variety of spices allows you to get creative, and it keeps things a little bit fun still in the kitchen. Next, don't forget water. So you want to stock plenty of bottled water or have a plan for water storage and filtration. Very important. Do not neglect how much water that you and your family needs, and your pets as well. A general rule of thumb is a gallon of water per day per person for an emergency type situation. So you can even have a little bit more than that for cooking, cleaning, hygiene purposes. Again, don't forget your animals as well. Make sure that you have sufficient amount of water for yourself and your family. Next, plan for pests. So pests have just this way of getting into the things that you have purchased and just ruining everything and all of your hard work if you allow them. So I learned this the hard way as well. So you really want to be mindful of this, because I thought I wasn't going to really be affected by pests. And sure enough, one day I checked my rice and I had all kinds of little pests in there because I didn't take the proper measures to go ahead and protect my investment from the pests in the first place. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. So some things that people like to use that you can try and incorporate are bay leaves or diatomaceous earth within your pantry. You can also be mindful of always, again, having airtight lids, having your food elevated a little bit off of the ground, maybe having some traps in your pantry to make sure mice would not ever get into your food as well, and then maybe regularly spraying for pests in there. Next, use glass jars. So storing pantry staples like pasta and grains and spices in glass jars are going to provide extra durability and more freshness. So the things are going to last longer and keep more of its integrity than if you store it in plastic. So you can't put everything in glass, and glass is expensive and we just don't have like tons of it, but certain things you may want to utilize glass storage solutions. Next, make pre-made soup mixes. So instead of maybe spending a lot of money at the store, buying a pre-made soup mix, you can just layer dry beans, grains, and seasonings in a jar. And that is going to be an easy, shelf-stable, ready-to-cook meal when you just add water and cook it on the stove or wherever else you're going to cook the food. Next is going to be investing in a manual can opener. And 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is done. So you want to have basically quite a few of them, because if you just have one manual can opener, it'll probably grow legs and walk away, and you won't be able to find it when you really need it. So have at least 2 or 3 of them, because a lot of items that are stored for long-term food storage purposes are going to be canned goods. And it's no fun trying to bust through a can with a different kind of tool. I mean, when you could just use a can opener and make it really simple, especially in your time of need. So have several manual can openers. And last, start small and stay consistent. Building your pantry gradually by adding a few extra items to each grocery trip instead of overwhelming yourself all at once, I think is really key. It's great to go ahead and stockpile a lot in the beginning because you just kind of want to get ahead and you want to feel like, yeah, I got this, I did it. But the best thing to do is, even if you do that, best thing to do is stockpile little by little. Always add a little bit as you can to your pantry, and then you'll see in no time that it's going to continue to grow and grow. And then as you implement all of these things that we talked about today, you're going to be really happy with your pantry as the years go on. So those are my 25 tips for helping you with your prepper pantry. I hope you learned a lot with this video, and I appreciate you being here and spending time with me today. If you're not already subscribed and you like this kind of content, feel free to do so, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.